Hello dear friends, in this video I will explain the second part of the extensor muscle of the forearm as I explained in my last video in the first part of the extensor muscle of the forearm. The extensor muscle of the forearm divided in two groups, the radial group and the dorsal group. In the radial group we have three muscles, brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor carpi radialis longus. I have already explained these three muscles one by one in my last video. You can see it. In this video, I will explain the dorsal group. This dorsal group divided in two groups, superficial muscles and deep muscles. In superficial muscles, we have four muscles: conus muscle, extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor digitorum, extensor digiti minimi. In deep muscles, we have supinator muscles, abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis, extensor pollicis longus, extensor indicis muscle. In this video, I will explain one by one these muscles. I will start from the conus muscle. So the conus muscle, this is a small muscle. You see it here in the elbow. Conus muscle. The origin of this muscle is dorsal side of the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. From here, dorsal side of the lateral epicondyle of humerus. And the insertion of this muscle is olecranon of the ulna here. In this muscle, the action of this muscle is a weak extensor of elbow. It makes the extension of the elbow, but this is a weak muscle. The nerve supply of this muscle is the radial nerve. So the next muscle is extensor carpi ulnaris. This muscle, the origin of this muscle arises from this part, from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, come in this way and inserted here in the base of 5 metacarpal bone here. And the function of this muscle is the wrist extension and adduction. It makes the extension of the wrist joint and adduction of hand and wrist joint. The nerve supply of this muscle is the radial nerve. The next muscle in this group is extensor digiti minimi muscle. This muscle, the origin of this muscle is here, arise from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, and come in this way and inserted this muscle in the middle and distal phalanx of the small finger. Middle and distal phalanx of small finger. The action of this muscle, extension of the little finger, MCP, PIP, DIP joint. MCP metacarpophalangeal joint here, PIP proximal interphalangeal joint, and distal interphalangeal joint. This is the action of this muscle. The nerve supply of this muscle is radial nerve. The next muscle in this group is extensor digitorum muscle. This muscle originates from here, from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, come in this way, here divided in three slips, three tendons, and one tendon divided here in two parts. These slips, these tendons, inserted here in the dorsal base of the middle and distal phalanges of the finger. Dorsal base of the middle and distal phalange of the finger. The function of this muscle is the extension of the wrist joint, MCP joint, PIP joint, and DIP joint. The extension of the wrist here, the extension of the proximal metacarpophalangeal joint, the extension of the proximal interphalangeal joint and the extension of distal interphalangeal joint. The nerve supply of this muscle is radial nerve. So this was the superficial group of the dorsal group of the extensor muscle of forearm. Now I will explain the deep muscle of the dorsal group of the forearm. In this group we have 5 muscles, as I explained. The first muscle is supinator muscle. This muscle had 2 heats. The origin of this muscle is lateral epicondyle of the humerus, radiocollateral and annular ligament. Annular ligament is here under this part of this muscle, and also supinator fossa and crest of ulna. And the insertion of this muscle is lateral posterior and anterior surface of proximal 1/3 of the radius. The action of this muscle is supination of the forearm, and the nerve supply of this muscle is radial nerve. The next muscle in this group is abductor pollicis longus muscle. The origin of this muscle is from here, from the posterior surface of the ulna, radius, and interosseous membrana. The insertion of this muscle is in the base of the first metacarpal bone in os trapezium. Here, first metacarpal bone, os trapezium here. And the function of this muscle is abduction of the thumb, radial abduction of the hand. The function is abduction of the thumb, radial abduction of the hand. The innervation of this muscle is radial nerve. The next muscle in this group is extensor pollicis brevis. The origin of this muscle is posterior surface of the radius and interosseous membrane. Insertion of this muscle is proximal phalanx of the thumb. Here, proximal phalanx of the thumb. And the function of this muscle is extension and abduction of the proximal phalanx of the thumb. The nerve supply of this muscle is radial nerve. The next muscle is extensor pollicis longus. The origin of this muscle is posterior surface of the ulna and interosseous membrana antebrachi. Here, posterior surface of the ulna and interosseous membrana of the antebrachi. The insertion of this muscle, dorsal aspect of the phalanx of the thumb, of the distal phalanx, dorsal aspect of the distal phalanx of the thumb here. The innervation of this muscle is posterior interosseous nerve and radial nerve. The function of this muscle is extension and abduction of the thumb. The last muscle in this group is extensor indicis muscle. The extensor indicis muscle originates from here. The insertion of this muscle, origin of this muscle is posterior surface of ulna and interosseous membrane from here. And this muscle come in this way and inserted here. The insertion of this muscle, extensor aponneurose of the index phalanx. Here, extensor aponneurose of the index finger. The innervation of this muscle is interosseous nerve, and the function of this muscle, extension of index finger and wrist joint. So this was the extensor muscle of the forearm, the dorsal group. If you like this video, please subscribe and please like it and share it with your friends, and In my next video I will explain the wider the anatomy of elbow. Thank you very much for watching this video. Bye.